All right, so I committed the cardinal sin of all time, right? I'm a JPEG shooter. I'm just gonna come right out and say 2026, I'm coming out as a JPEG shooter. And I know it's frowned upon in the community of photography, but it's just something that I do. And in today's video, I wanted to tell you why you should try it too and why I've been doing it myself. You know, JPEG can be great and it can also be awful, but I've been using it a lot and you guys have seen the results over the past year, so let's get right into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Once Upon a Time, the greatest channel on YouTube if you like Christmas trees in January. I know a couple cardinal sins have been committed, but we're not in the studio, as you can see. The audio from the studio went kind of crazy on me until the very end, so I had to kind of re-record the lines. But if you guys are new here, my name is Juan Pablo. I am a portrait photographer based here in New York, and I do a new video every single week. So if you like my content, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and just stay tuned. You know, we have a little rapport going here. We're growing. We're at 15,000, almost 16,000 subscribers, so thank you guys very much. But let's just start right off with the most important thing is JPEGs are so taboo. A lot of people in the photography industry tend to think that JPEG is not made for professional shooters. However, I've learned a lot from shooting JPEG. I've shot JPEG for the last year exclusively. I mean, I've shot RAW for certain things here and there, but that's because I didn't have my camera on me. But I'm a JPEG shooter. You know, I love JPEG. I think it teaches you a lot about yourself as a photographer. It's a good tool to use to learn more, and it's also just an overall easier way to work. So anyways, let me introduce you to our model and our makeup artist, and then we'll get right into the info dump. Let's do it. All right, guys, I'm here today with our amazing model,
Lindsay,
and our amazing makeup artist,
Juliana.
And Lindsay, what are we doing today?
Just an editorial test shoot.
It's an editorial test shoot. And what kind of makeup did you decide to go for today? What's like the vibes?
Some fun, dramatic looks, things you might not have seen before, and hopefully love.
That was great. We're keeping that in. All right, guys, make sure to follow them. Let's get into the video. So now, before I started shooting JPEG, I was actually very heavily RAW. I mean, I did RAW for almost 10 years, and I found it to be quite tiring. You know, I was getting like this editing fatigue. I wasn't working fast as I am now, at least, and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. There was no consistency in my photos. And I kind of learned that my photos were also not great. I had to rescue my photos every time. I wasn't able to get bangers straight out of the camera. And, you know, obviously, maybe that's a skill issue because maybe I'm not so great at just RAW images, but I just wanted to get more from my camera, and I wanted to learn more about the actual composition of my photos and how I actually wanted them to look versus how the end product ended up looking. And so I decided to switch to JPEG. And you know, JPEG made me just a better photographer overall. Basically, I wanted to spend more time shooting and less time editing, if that makes sense. But how did JPEGs actually change my approach to photography? Well, there were a couple things actually. For one, it forced me to be better at exposure, right? I had to actually look and think at my camera and where the subject was and how the light was falling before I took the photo, which I think almost reminded me a lot of when I was shooting film back in the day. You know, it was almost like I don't use my camera to just spray and pray that something comes out. I had to think more about it, and it helped me a lot in that way. There was also sort of this concept of I can't fix it later. If something is completely gone wrong, there is no going back. I had to fix it on the spot, and it helped me a lot because, like I said, I had to think more about what I was doing. I couldn't just click the button and hope for the best. I had to actually compose things, and at first it was really tough, you know, but as I started doing it more and more, I started to understand what worked and what didn't work for my work. JPEGs, I guess, made me a little more careful in a good way. Shooting in JPEG made color a decision and not just something I can slide around and change. And I figured this out, well, for one, early on, you know, when I was shooting RAW, and while you can still edit JPEGs to kind of have, you know, the color you want and things like that, RAW, obviously you have a lot more flexibility to play around with. And I just was tired of having to fix everything, really. It also made me have to come into photo shoots knowing what I wanted to do with color, what the vibe was with the model's outfit. It wasn't just a, hey, wear whatever, pull up, we'll figure it out, right? It made me think about what I wanted to do with this portrait, how I wanted to have the model dress, in what colors and what wall to put them up against, right? What background, what props to use to kind of make all the photos kind of make sense together. And it also helped me create a consistent look throughout all of my photos, at least the sets that I've done in this past year. When I was shooting RAW, all my photos looked all over the place. One day I was doing something really moody and like dark and saturated, and the next I was doing something really airy, almost overexposed. And I didn't find that to be an issue with JPEG, since hence I started to get better at it because I was able to find that exposure and that composition and that color that made sense for my photos as I was doing it in person in the studio with the model. Basically, I stopped chasing color and I started to create it in a way, right? Now, mind you, all the photos that you're seeing in this video are all JPEG. They have been edited in Lightroom because I do edit JPEGs. I'm not saying editing is bad by any means. I actually quite love editing. I just think that editing with some constrictions makes for a better photographer, you know, because you're actually learning what works in that natural lighting or in that lighting setup that you have. Now, shooting in JPEG also made me trust my instincts. It helped a lot with second guessing. You know, I'm a big second guesser in every life things. Like, I don't know what I want to eat today, and if I do have a big decision to make, I tend to be the one to always kind of teeter between should I do it or should I not do it, or I don't know if that's the right word, teeter, whatever. I have a hard time making decisions. JPEG helped me in the way that I have to make them. Now I'm not second guessing myself as much when it comes to shooting, at least. I'm just doing it because I think that it looks great and I'm shooting faster, which is always great for the models and it's great for my time as well. I've got a lot more confidence when it comes to framing and timing of not only where to set the model, but also when to take the photo in between movements while they're sitting or whatever position there is. I feel like I have a lot easier of a time now taking those photos. So overall, JPEG kind of helped me become better in all the things that I cared about, which was timing, framing, direction, taste, and the biggest one is actually seeing what I'm shooting and understanding what I'm trying to get across in my photographs. And while also JPEGs are a great way to save space in your computer, I also do shoot RAWs on the side just in case I do want to show them to a bigger client or something like that that needs the RAW files for whatever reason. But everything that you see posted and edited by me has always, and probably for the next few years, will be JPEG. So yeah, but that leads us to the next thing, is why I think you should start shooting JPEG. For one, shooting JPEG is a great exercise for many reasons, but one of the biggest ones is that you will shoot a lot more. There's a lot less time spent editing, a lot less time trying to figure out how to get the files exported, transported, trying to get them into JPEG so you can send them to clients. It is just a much faster workflow for you, which means more reps, which means your work gets better. And when I say shooting JPEG, that doesn't mean shooting in automatic modes. I think that the most important thing is that you are shooting manual and that you're learning that exposure dial, the ISO, the shutter speed, the f-stop, all those kind of basic rules for your photography. But even if you're a more advanced photographer, I think shooting JPEG can teach you a lot more too that you sometimes forget, because I feel like as you go up in your career and you start learning more and more, you sort of forget the first things you learned because it's been so long, right? And so once you get into your groove of photographing things your certain way and you like things a certain way, you sort of forget some of the actual like rules that photography has. But I think it's important for us to practice that still, understanding how your camera works and lighting, because you can't rely on your equipment all the time. And if you're going to start shooting film at some point, you need to learn how exposure works and how to expose your camera correctly. JPEGs teach you that, and they teach you your camera's personality. Now, with all of this being said, it will also help you with your portfolio because you will have a look that is consistent throughout all of it, right? You will start creating images that you actually like and that you know you can consistently recreate because you learn all those things and because you're doing it in JPEG. And that's one of the biggest things. Consistency when it comes to your portfolio is one of the biggest reasons why people would hire you to be a photographer, right? If you're a food photographer, for example, if you're doing a mix of really dark, moody things and then you're doing stuff that's really vibrant and really saturated and close up, people are going to be confused by what you can and what you can't do. So it's important that you have a consistent look through your portfolio and just the bigger scheme of things, you know? And one of the greatest things about this JPEG challenge, I guess, that I'm putting onto you is that you can always go back. You don't have to do it forever. You know, try for a week, try for 2 weeks. You know, I highly recommend that you try it at least for 2 or 3 months just to see where you're at. But if you don't like it, you can go back to RAWs. RAWs are always there, which brings me to the next thing. RAWs always have a place in photography. I am not a RAW hater. I was a RAW person for a long time, and I think that it obviously has its place. And I do think that it is probably the more professional thing to use. However, it doesn't work for me. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. Does it work for you? Does it work for me? It doesn't work for me. You know, RAW has always been a sore spot for me because I do a lot of work that is very fast paced and I don't have time to tweak things, you know? So I needed to get good at just getting them great straight out of the camera. And I guess it helped me overall, but I am not a RAW hater at all. I think RAW has its place. So people, I understand RAW. I'm not a hater at all. If you should RAW, great for you. So at the end of the day, I make this video because I wanted to kind of show you the progress and the process that I've made with JPEG and why I think that it's important to learn JPEG, even if you're somebody that's very seasoned. Anywhere from a true beginner to a completely seasoned photographer, I think both of those ends need to meet in the middle and try JPEG, just because I think that JPEG has a certain reality to it that RAW sometimes doesn't have, you know? And I think that's also a bigger problem with just technology and how it is advancing with everything. And trust me, I'm not one of those AI is gonna kill us all type of people, but I do think that good to learn things hands-on. Something that will never go out of style is knowing how to do something right straight out of the go. You either do it right the first time or you have to work twice as hard to fix it. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll send you back to Juan in the studio when the audio is working. Let's do it. All right, guys, that was it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow these two lovely ladies right here. There's their Instagrams. Next time I see you, I'm going to shave my head and then dye my beard red, and hopefully I look a little bit more like who I really want to be. Thank you for watching.